Jeremy from Jeremy.net. I'm a comic book artist, writer, creator, and I share my process here with you on the internet. If you'd like to support this channel, get additional bonus live streams, tons of behind-the-scenes features, access to our Discord server, you can go to patreon.com/GERIMI. If you'd like to see the best of what I post online every month on social media, all in one place, you can sign up for my newsletter at newsletter.jeremy.net. And if you'd like to purchase physical copies of my books, you can go to amazon.jeremy.net. That will forward you to my Amazon author page. I also have books available on Comixology and Kindle if you read digitally. And we have a guest today, my dear close friend, Dan Plegel.
How's it going?
Hey, how's it going, buddy? We just decided to do an impromptu midweek live stream. So I figured we don't get a chance to catch up as much as we'd like. So I figured, hey, let's just get on and hang out, draw, and talk shop and creative process. So first off, I have the description in the chat for your Instagram so that people can go and check you out. It's Boob Dan Art on Instagram.
I have a few different ones, but that's the main one that's got the most traction right now. So I'm deferring to that.
So we should give people
most of the creative stuff I have anyway leans towards that genre anyway. So just to give people a sense of the body of your work,
why Boob Dan?
Why or how did it happen?
How did it happen? Not because I don't think it's because you have man boobs.
No, a little bit.
Give people. Well, you know what? Why don't we throw that poison? Let me go full screen on you. Why don't you throw up that poison ivy commission?
Poison ivy commission.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, this one's not very representative, but it's close.
Hang on. Let me switch this. I
gotta get the angle right here.
Hang on, before you. I'm trying to figure out how to minimize me. Well, okay, there. We got a good shot of it. Yes. So very well endowed women is your specialty.
Yes, it's one of my things. The commission I did for my buddy. Cool. Let me find something that's a little more. Let's see. What do I have safe for work down here?
So hard to find. So many different things to choose from. Like, but finding something
I could probably show you the top of this Tomb Raider commission I'm doing.
But she has no drawers on?
She has drawers on. It's page 1, so it's not that bad.
Ah.
That's probably a little bit more in the wheelhouse.
She looks kind of sticky.
A little bit.
Did she just crawl out of the swamp, or is that just sweat from?
It's like supposed to be a post-adventure return home sort of shot.
She's had a long day. She's sweaty. She's grimy. She's icky.
And here's one of my personal pieces I'm working on.
Ooh.
It's a arsenic and old lace kind of knockoff poster idea.
I'm surprised that those aren't breaking his back as well as hers.
Yeah. Well.
So how much of your time is split between doing commissions and doing comic work? Because, I mean, we were catching up a little bit recently, and you've always been a fast artist, but I was amazed, like, when you told me how prolific you are these days.
Yeah, I'm pretty quick. Like, the Poison Ivy piece I showed you, the gray toning work was probably about 25 minutes, and drawing the piece was probably about 40. It's usually what it takes for me to do that type of piece. It just depends, because sometimes I'll make something and I'll noodle at it for a while. Like, let me see if I have. Trying to see if I have this other commission. Probably in the stack here. I think it's in this stack.
commissions after commissions after commissions. You know,
Yeah.
I only recently in the past year started opening up commissions again, because for the longest time I wasn't doing them at all. I started doing them at conventions, and I got to the point where I realized I couldn't do my best work when I was sitting at the table, so I stopped doing them. And then I realized, well, you know what? I could open commissions up again if I'm not doing them at conventions. I'm doing them at home.
Right.
Or if people buy them at the show and then I ship them to them afterwards. So I've in the past year started taking a few more, but for the longest time I was not doing any at all.
Yeah, the problem I had, which I think I was discussing with you, is that I did these there was a period of time where I was like extremely broke, and I was just like, I need some commission work to come in because I need to make some money. And I was like, $50, whatever you want, 11 by 17. That
That's a deal. That's a deal.
So, yeah, like finished inks, maybe not the gray toning work necessarily, but like fine art.
Mm-hmm.
And had this guy, he signed up, and I basically got 10 pieces from him. But ensuing time goes, the time goes by, I get busy, life, my day job, and I don't get the stuff done on time. Guy's super patient and waits. Of course, because he's super patient and waits, he's not getting 2015 commissions now. He's getting 2020 commissions, which are $100 commission. And I'm just kind of like, well, I said $50. It's $50.
Well, you know what? When you first said that, I was thinking about the fact that
this piece was a little more than this was definitely more than an hour's worth of. Like, I noodled at this for a bit. I would say collectively this is probably an hour and a half, maybe an hour and 40. Like, this is a pretty good amount of time on this one.
See, I'm like, if you're able to draw that in like an hour and a half, hour 40, it's like you should be putting out an art book every month.
Well, it's funny you say that. No, I'm working on doing some crowdfunder comics,
mm-hmm.
which I'm like going back and forth, whether it's Kickstarter, then Indiegogo, or do Indiegogo only because I like the sort of store aspect of it that you have in the aftermath.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I've been working on doing that. A lot of people I know have been telling me, like, you need to do a book. You're moving too quickly, and to not be doing one. So I started on this thing, which is the thing I just showed you, which is a monster book. And I realized as I was going, I originally had 3 pages at the beginning, and I was like, well, yeah, exactly, $50.
See, my boy Negro Frazette is in the chat.
It's dumb.
I got $50.
But I can't be like, yo, dude, I know you've been waiting patiently, but I need $100 now. I can't do that. So I have to honor the $50 I told this guy.
Well, it was funny when you first mentioned it. I didn't realize that the person had already paid for them, because
he paid for half of it up front with the stipulation he'd pay the other half on delivery.
But then you never delivered. So now that you're doing it, in a way, it's kind of like you giving.
I'm not mad. I'm not mad because
yeah. He's so patient that he deserves the top quality, like modern. He deserves the piece that you would do for $100 now.
And I look at some of these pieces, I'm like, oh, I gotta let this go. Like, hold on.
Oh, hey, Vince is in the chat.
Vince. We were just talking about Vince the other day.
I see Mark Artis is in the chat also. Said, damn. You know what? It's bugging me that I don't remember how to set this up. Oh, wait, I do remember how to set this up. Clicking it so that I can make you mainstream. Like, I can set it up so you're taking the whole screen because your art deserves it.
This right here is one of his $50 commission pieces.
Wow.
And I'm like,
Holy.
I'm like, okay. I'm like, I guess I can let it go.
Well, I'll tell you, people, his commissions for that size are now $100, but the link
for something like that.
Yeah.
But he's getting pages like this that were like, I'm looking at going, like I'm giving this away to him for $50.
Now, so you also wow. See, that's ridiculous. I mean,
I know.
I mean, 11 by
A
17.
deal is a deal, though. A handshake is a handshake, my friend.
See, the thing I don't understand. Vince says,
Vince is like, you're crazy.
He said, see, when you think of me, you tend to summon me.
We do. We were thinking of you really hard yesterday.
See, I mean, I would call you the Black Voldemort, but it's like you're positive energy. So it's like, what do you call it when you're summoning positivity?
I told Jeremy when I talked to him before when we were discussing about maybe doing this thing that I said there's two people I defer to for logic and good advice, and it's you and Vince. I don't get to talk to you guys enough, which bums me out. But yeah, there used to be one other guy, but that guy's passed away. Oh. So yeah, do you remember Roman? Roman Morales.
I barely remember
for him. Chaos Comics, Lynch Mob.
I do. It's been a long time.
Yeah, he's kind of a mentor of me and John's.
Oh, I didn't know he passed away.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. It's been a couple of years now.
Yeah, it sucks I didn't. Well, you know what? I guess maybe for reference for people that are viewers, I should give a little bit of background of how we know each other. In that, back in the early 90s, I was still in high school. Myself and You didn't know I was in high school back then?
I didn't think you were still in high school.
Well, you know what? Part of it is that I had more like I had a beard goatee back then.
I remember that. I remember you looking just like you do right now.
Well, my wife has seen pictures of me. It was like, you look older when you were in high school than you do now. But part of it's also that I scowled a lot more back then.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, I was a disgruntled teenager. But you were one of the premier members of the first art studio that I was ever a part of.
I don't know how premier I was.
Well, I mean, you
definitely a member.
No, I mean, you're the fact that you were really fast and your work. I think you've definitely evolved into your own style then. But you had there was a significant Art Adams influence in your earlier stuff.
Right.
And I think at this point, you've evolved out of that into something that's more cartoony and has its own where like. Art Adams has got all the little detail and all of the, rendering. Although you do some really detailed pieces, but you find a way to not make it look overly detailed. It's like it still has the same energy that you're expecting cartoony work. Kind of like in the way that, with live action, not live action, but with animation, 2D animation, the artwork is always simplified because all of the detail that would be in a comic illustration looks like crap when it's moving. You find a way to put in the detail that we find in comic book art, but it has that energy that animated work has.
Okay, yeah.
So, but yeah, years later, I also see in the chat, Vince had the similar reaction that I had when you told me that. So now let's not assume anything I offer is logical. But no, our boy Vince, and I do at some point need to get Vince on here as well. But he does offer the Buddha's wisdom.
He does.
Oh, so, but yeah, you're always super fast, and it seems like it continues today.
You know what's weird about that? Part of me says yes, I agree. I think I'm fast. But then part of me goes, I'm not that fast. I feel like people say I'm faster than I really am. Like Dan Frega, really good friend of mine. Like I've known him, probably he's the second oldest friend that I have.
Mm-hmm.
And he always says that I'm crazy fast.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I guess to me, when I see my stuff, I kind of go, it's fast, but like, I don't know. I feel like it could be faster.
Well, I mean, you know what?
I noodle a lot. Like I kind of like my prelims are on the page like most of the time. I don't do a lot of the setup, so I'm kind of like sometimes I'm like maybe if I did more setup, I'd be even faster somehow. But
well, I mean, it's interesting because we can get into talking about creative process. I was talking the other night, yesterday actually, with a comic creator, Marshall Lee, and we were talking about process, and he finds thumbnails to be a bit of drudgery.
I agree with him. I agree. I say you have for me, if I don't have the image in my mind, the thing's not getting created. So if I have the image in my mind, I just put it on the paper. And sometimes it's difficult, but I would say in the beginning of doing this sort of effort, it was a lot of machete in the jungle trying to carve out the temple, as it were. But I feel, as with most things with repetition, the more I've done it, the more I come to. But I think that also comes in with my style. The more I expect I know what the line is that I'm going to develop. So occasionally I get happy accidents and something something spits out there and I go, whoa, hopefully I can remember how to recreate that again, because I want to be able to do that all the time. But sometimes it doesn't. Well, most of the time it happens again. But I just, in my head, I'm just like, I wish I could just, like a magician, do that on command and never have to worry about recreating that. But
do you do much documenting of your process, like taking just photos of your work as you go?
I try to do photos. Lately, I've been trying to scan the pencils and the inks before I even go to gray tone wash. And it was funny you say that, because I think of you every time. So Jeremy's like, scan that now. You're gonna want the process later to like put in something, and you're not gonna have it, and you're gonna wish you had it. So yes, I always do the Jeremy scan when and if possible. But
for me, yes, I occasionally will scan things in because I'm afraid that I'm going to screw it up, and I want to be able to, like, it's the digital undo. But,
I think that process, but
yeah, but more often than not, go ahead, sip your drink. Yeah, more often than not, I usually, for me, the documenting the process is because I'm not as prolific as you are. So a lot of what I'm sharing is supposed to be, my social media is, I try to make it like it's a window on my creative process. Like, this is like just what's on the art table today. And I'll give people, if it's just a few shots, make an animated GIF of just, this is how much drawing I got done today. Or, this is what I'm making in a painting. And it makes up for the fact that that we can't all be like flying through like full pinup commissions at like, in 90 minutes.
You gotta turn it over though. You're gonna make the money. That's how the commissions work.
Well, let's go back to that initial question. So, in terms of commissions versus comics, what percentage of your time is spent on making comics versus doing commissions? And also, do you make the distinction between commission comic book work versus your personal comic book work?
Well, my comic work usually comes out in spurts. I try and get myself in a mode. Unless I go, I need to redo these 2 pages, and then I redo the pages, and I just do them. But usually when I'm coming up with a book, I'm just working on that thing. And then if somebody's like, hey, I want this commission, I'll just sit down real quick and do it and shuffle it out. So I would say I don't get hung up too much on doing commission work. I would say 90% of the time would be creating my books, 10% commission work, because I don't get stuck on the commission stuff too much. I do some commission stuff where like for instance, the stuff I did for this guy for $50. Like some of that stuff, I'm like, I could probably put some of this in a book and like give it out as a supplemental with a Kickstarter or something, or a stretch goal for my Indiegogo, whatever it is. I mean, because as long as it's not the thing I'm selling, if it's something I'm giving away for free, Because I see a lot of people do that with like sketchbooks and stuff that have other characters and things in it.
Well,
But
how many of your commissions are licensed characters versus someone just saying, I want this cool, crazy thing?
it's rarely a cool, crazy thing. Most of the time it's very specific. Like they're like, you know, the last one was wanted a 5-page Red Sonja story and a 5-page Tomb Raider story. And they were X-rated in nature. I started doing the Red Sonja thing, and as I do, I did what he wanted, but then I have this problem sometimes where my mind starts going, and so he ended up with a 10-page Red Sonja story because I added a whole subplot to the story that I was like, I need to draw this real quick and get it out. So initially, it started off with Red Sonja in a bar, drinking, and then having sex with some guy she's playing poker with. And then I had the wall gets knocked in, the guy she's playing poker with, the guy she just had sex with, gets roasted by unbelievable flames. She's hiding behind the poker table. A giant dragon kind of cruises in, and James Earl Jones is Thulsa Doom on the back. Walks up, and off the table flies the ace of spades, and it lands into Thulsa Doom's hand, like he's got the ace up his sleeve sort of thing. And so that's like, that type of stuff happens all the time. Like I'll be like, wonder what happened next here, and I'm like, and I'll do this other thing. So I didn't do that with the Tomb Raider though. I left the Tomb Raider alone. I did do one pinup that wasn't part of the deal, that I was just drawing something and it didn't work out for whatever reason, whatever. It's fine as it is, but it didn't work for what I was doing with this commission. So
now, did you just toss those extra pages in, or did he at least tip you well for adding on extra pages?
He paid me for them.
Okay.
I'm getting paid for those pages.
Okay.
But they're still $100 pages. One of those was the one I showed you with the dragon.
Oh,
and
okay.
The guy getting roasted. That was one of the pages. I mean, he's paying me for them, but
so in a way, it's more sort of like an upsell. Now, it's an upsell. Like you had, you know, a 5-page comic commission, and then you're like, I can make it. Now, did you ask him beforehand, would you like me to expand this and make it 10 pages, or did you just do it?
And I just kind of did it, and then I was just going ahead with the other stuff, and the guy's like, I gotta have those too. And then he bought those off of me. So I was like, all right.
Now, if he had not bought those off of you, would you have just sold him those 5 pages and you would have kept the other 5 pages that you did?
Yeah, I probably would have just kept them. I mean, I don't know. What do you do with all this stuff? Like, that's another discussion, is like if you do a ton of stuff, you're just sitting on a ton of stuff. Like, I don't do shows. So I've got a box that's like in my closet that is, I think it's 4 feet high, square box that is filled to the brim with just original drawings.
It's called a website. You use it to sell artwork you have laying around.
Do those things still exist? I thought it's just Instagram and Facebook is where you can find me. I'm trying to get a handle of this YouTube thing that you over here, like, you know, like Dumbledore, just like the Wizard of the Kingdom.
I'm gonna tell you right now. In fact, we're gonna do this just real quick.
I do have YouTube pages, but there's nobody following. Well, except for this little red guy that I know. There's like 43 people following him. But he's a cult personality of his own.
Well, okay. See, part of it is the fact that specifically because your art is more adult and more not safe for work, that does make it challenging to live stream it on YouTube.
Well, not necessarily, because I have clean stuff.
Yeah. Well, what I was gonna say is, one, you can work on.
The current book I'm working on is clean.
Yeah. 2, from what I have seen, cartoonudity is a little bit more permissive on Twitch than it is on YouTube, to the point where I've gotten popped a couple of times for doing figure drawing work, and I thought to myself,
that's crazy.
I thought to myself, screw this, I'm going to Twitch. And the debate on whether I do go over there or not, if it continued to be a problem, I think I would really look into it. It hasn't been a problem since then. But also, I've really just moved the figure drawing stuff to doing private Zoom sessions
I'm so
for.
old though, man. I barely know what Twitch is.
It's like this.
Really bad.
It's just more of a gamer community. You know, like
that was the thing I noticed when I went over there to look because people were saying to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Like it just looked like it was a bunch of dudes like Pippin and a Hufflepuff 5, like playing GTA
Mm-hmm.
and like all this other stuff, and I'm like, I don't understand any of this world.
Well, I haven't spent a lot of time on there. That said, it started out as a live streaming gaming platform so that people could stream their game sessions and talk with their friends while they're playing. Do it. Go for it. Toss it up. If it weren't for the fact that I would probably fall asleep if I had a drink right now, I'd be drinking with you because I just, for some reason, this week has been kicking my ass. Peanut galleries over there.
In the background, she's mocking me. She's like, I know it. And I'm like, shh. I'll get drunk on my water on my friend's
You know what? You just reminded me.
I've known him long enough.
Okay, we're going to talk streaming and platforms a little bit more, but then we do have to talk about a friend of ours who is on YouTube, our friend Squish. We're going to have to talk about
Squish. We can talk about him.
We're going to have to talk about Squish, but before that, I was going to say, just in terms of, why is my computer making, it's reminding me that I need to take out the garbage tonight. I don't remember anything anymore. I just put reminders in my phone for all the stuff I have to do. For the longest time, before I set up with the webcam and had it plugged in so I can have my computer screen up while I'm drawing, I used to just stream off my phone. And
that's what I'm doing, actually.
Huh?
That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's what you're doing.
I have no computer at the moment.
Yeah, well, then how do you scan your artwork?
It's a crazy game of shadow play.
You just go over to a friend's house with a scanner.
I have a ramshackle, like 15-year-old computer that no longer can legally, I guess, peruse the internet.
Mm-hmm.
So it is offline, like unplugged, and I do the art on that. Then I scan it onto I scan it in, and then I put it on this little like card thing, and then I take the phone apart, and then I plug the little card into my phone after I've disassembled all the safety gear from it, and then from there I go and I stand in the driveway, kind of in the front by a tree. Where it gets good signal, and I adjust the Wi-Fi and send it to like Dropbox or Google Drive or whatever, and I usually put it in there.
You don't have like Harry Potter style, an owl just comes by and swoops it off and takes it to the internet?
It's almost like that these days. It is. It really is.
Didn't you mention something about getting a Chromebook?
I do, but we needed a power adapter, a little plug thing. Evidently, IT says it's coming Saturday. Well, so maybe on Saturday I'll have this little Chromebook thing.
Well, there you go. You can finally have a scanning station. Well, I'm gonna. Hopefully, this doesn't whack me on the head, but I bought a light stand, and this was like I think the light stand itself was $20. And the arm that's attached to the light stand was more than that. I think it was like $20 for the light stand, and then another $25 for this arm that's clamped to it.
Wow.
And I have a webcam up here now for when I'm live streaming. I'm drawing traditionally, and I plugged that in. But this clamp that's up here used to be a clamp that was for phones. So yeah, it cost me $50 to set up. But what I do is I had a clamp, and I could just clamp my phone above my drawing table.
That's what I have right now.
Oh, you've got one?
That's what you're in right now. You're on my phone attached to my clamp.
Oh, well, sure. All I'm saying is I bought something so that I could take my... No, don't move. You're good. You're good. Oh.
So I've got this thing that clamps in. It's got the power plug. I've got a light that hangs from above. I've got this magnifying sort of light thing or whatever, so I can do... I can paint my gaming miniatures, all that type of stuff.
Now, do you use that clamp? I was saying in terms of live streaming and sharing your artwork online, do you use that clamp to hold your phone and just broadcast what you're drawing?
I use this clamp to. I've never broadcasted from this actually, other than I've done this where I go on here and I talk with you or another friend, or my mom who lives in Philadelphia. But other than that, mainly I use this to like. This is almost kind of like having a TV in my workspace. All my music is on Amazon Music or whatever. So I have a little Bluetooth speaker that I can just run the music to. Or if I listen to someone's podcast or another live chat, I'll put it on here and let it run while I'm down here drawing on the table. But I've yet to turn the rear-facing camera and, shoot my process or anything like that. I haven't done that.
No, but I'm saying, could you? Is it just a matter of changing it?
Yeah. It's easy to do. I have like I said, I have a YouTube page that has one video on it, and it's basically me doing that very thing. And it took forever to load it up, and like nobody was really on there watching it. I had nobody watching it, nobody following it, so I didn't know if I was even doing the whole thing right. So I kind of abandoned that. It didn't seem like anybody would.
Well, I mean, it took me years before people were regularly commenting on my videos. I just started, and originally it wasn't even, certainly I only started live streaming, I think it's probably like 2 years now I've been live streaming. For the longest time, it was just me recording time lapses and posting time lapses. That's it. And there wasn't even any talking. It was just the time lapse. Then I switched over to doing the time lapses where I would just record myself throughout the week drawing, and then I would just stitch them together and I would give a short narration. So I was doing like 10, 20-minute videos where I was just talking about whatever it was I was drawing, some little aspect of it. And only like in the past few years have I switched now. And the main reason why I switched to live streaming as opposed to original talking is that when I was doing the time lapses, I would have to think of a topic beforehand, come up with that. And it felt like it is challenging, I think, to...
I just start doing karaoke in the middle of it. I just start singing.
Well, see, but then they tag you for the copyright infringement for the songs. You don't have the rights.
Not if you're making up the songs. I can't remember a song to save my life. I'm making up my own songs. If I only had a clue, I could draw just like you. Stuff like that.
Okay, all right. Well, then you got something. Well, my point being is instead of having to think of stuff, let's see. I see Joseph's in the chat. He's saying, hey, how's it going? We're not drawing too much tonight. We're just talking creative process here with my buddy Dan. I mean, I could draw. I've got my iPad attached.
I was drawing a little bit while we were talking. But
oh, okay. Well, hell, let me.
I was fixing a beard on this piece.
Let me
think if I scanned it or not, though. That was the only.
Well, you know what? Hey, would it be if you want? Do you want to try turning your phone so that it's facing the drawing table and then keep talking while you're working on it?
I could try to do that. Hopefully it doesn't. Let's see here, camera. Oh, look who that is.
Oh, that's our buddy Squish.
That's the Squish. I don't know if it knows how to do that on this app.
All right, never mind. Never mind.
Wait a minute, here it is. Tools, camera.
I may force you to break it, and you get booted off of the stream by doing that.
Doing what?
No, I'm just saying that if it like that, he'll try to get back in, folks. In the meantime, I will throw my Morningstar page back on, and we'll see if I can get our buddy Dan back in. This is what I get for asking him to monkey with his settings while we're live. Oh, there he goes. He's back. All right, there we go.
There it is.
Back.
See, it only took me kicking myself for it to happen. See if I can bring that down. Yeah, I don't think I've ever drawn with this before like this.
Well, see, yeah, that's it. It's just a matter of just be able to put your work on the drawing board.
There we go. There it is.
Nice.
Bug guts on here, man.
But yeah, I was the main thing I was saying was yeah, a lot of the times the big switch for me to live stream was that after several years of posting time lapses, it was becoming difficult for me to find things to talk about where I wasn't repeating myself.
Right.
And the nice thing with live streaming is that, you know, a lot of times it was just responding to questions from the chat and people asking things about the creative process. And even somebody just saying what tool you're using, you know, what thoughts are you doing, you know, in terms of studying anatomy or different technical things. It's like, how do you get through that? Just answering these questions made it easier. You know, it was more interactive. Even if I'm getting questions that are similar week after week, just answering each person's questions was more entertaining to me than thinking of a new topic off the top of my head.
Right.
Speaking of which, Joseph in the chat says, I'm currently working on a prototype look of a hero of my comic book I plan to publish one day. I never wrote or drew a comic book. He said, can I put links of several images to hear what you think?
Do it.
I don't have it set up here to post images for the live stream, but I'm trying to think what the easiest way is for you to share those pieces with me. Probably on Facebook. And I don't know if there's a link on here for crap. Yeah, because I think if you post links in the chat, it won't. I don't know if it'll let me put those on there. But I think at some point, that's one of the things I've actually been thinking about, and this is something our buddy Jesse has done. Even though he had a Facebook page, he switched to having a Facebook group. And after seeing how much interaction I've had with my patrons on Discord, I thought maybe it might be nice to set up a Facebook group for the people that aren't necessarily patrons, but still want to have some level of interaction, sharing artwork, posting, and more of a continuing discussion.
Did I show you this one?
No. What is that?
I was going to do a buddy of mine, Greg Harms. He suggested I do some variant like cover homages for my book.
Mm-hmm.
So I did this New Mutants 98 homage with my characters.
It's a good suggestion. I've seen Greg in some of the chats before on my stream. So
yeah, he's a pretty good friend of mine. He's man, his Mojo Risen book is doing pretty good.
Nice.
So, and then I got these. These are the two pages. I had to redo the opening 2 pages to my book because I wasn't very excited about them. So this is page 1 of the redo.
Those veins are ridiculous.
I was going for Simon Bisley, or Bisley or whatever, but
yeah, Bisley. Yeah, those things are just that's just super ripped. I mean, they look painfully swollen.
That's right. So I got that.
This is nice. Kind of a entering.
I needed some stronger opening to my book, so.
You know, a nice dramatic shot of a decaying palace is a good way to go.
Yeah.
One more thing in the chat, Joseph. I was just going to tell you. I think that what I am going to do, I don't have it set up today, but at some point I'm going to set up a Facebook group so that people that do want to share and talk about artwork that while we're live, I'll set that up at some point. So I don't know if I'll get it up this week or next week, but yeah, I have let's see. And he says, those are all, I'm not sure if anyone sees that. I'm not sure what you're referring to of people being able to see it. But yeah, we'll figure something out. Usually, I have for giving feedback on pieces, I have a feedback critique tier on my Patreon where people actually send artwork to me to do drawovers, and I can kind of go in there and show them, well, move this here and push that there. But for just looking at a piece and just giving you, just what I think of it, that you don't necessarily have to be a patron for. We can, I can set up something so you can share work in a Facebook group. I hear you rumbling back there, Dan. Are you on the floor?
I'm doing a quick Jeremy scan. Give me a sec. Because I want to finish this piece, but I don't want to go back on my promise to do the process.
You're doing. Oh, so you're scanning it right now.
I just scanned it real quick. Yeah.
I wish I had known that's what you were doing.
Sorry.
Yeah, well, see, I mean, that's the funny thing about using your phone for everything is that you can't even take a snapshot. Oh, okay.
Oh, I have snapshots. I do that, but I just don't think those look as good as an actual full-on scan,
Oh, and I see what Joseph is talking about. Yeah, I guess you posted links above the after you mentioned it, and the links. I think that anything on a live stream, if you comment and you're sharing a link, it doesn't. I think YouTube holds those to make sure that they're not spam. So it probably will be easier if I set up a Facebook group, or I can look at them later on. But I do appreciate you sharing stuff with me. I actually, you know what? That's something I don't necessarily mention often enough. So I have a tier on Patreon, and I call it the critique feedback tier. And what it is you can send in 1 to 3 pieces a month on Patreon. We've got a thread for it inside our Discord server. You send those pieces, and then I get feedback, and I'll bring it up on my computer and do drawovers and corrections. And it's not like me coming in there to tear you down. It's more like the way that I do corrections on my figure drawings, where I show what's wrong and the reference I need and how I try to improve and fix that. I show you what I think can be done to improve those particular drawings and give you feedback. And I do Patreon exclusive live streams for that. So that's separate from these live streams. I can sit down, get you on a Zoom call, talk about that, and you can ask me questions about the particular piece and the things you're struggling with. So, but yeah, in terms of just posting links here in the chat, that I think YouTube just blocks those. So I'm sorry about that. But yeah, one of the benefits of the Patreon membership.
Does Josh ever come in here?
Josh Trosh?
Yes.
You know what? No, we talk not all the time, but usually, once a month or sometimes we'll go a couple of months. It's been a while since I've talked to him lately, but we're still good friends. We don't talk comics that much at all anymore, except for the fact that him being in a marketing background, he's actually teaches marketing.
Okay.
I mean, he teaches a variety of subjects. He's a college professor now. But for the most part, when we talk, it's more of him giving me feedback and things I can do with my business, that sort of thing. And we don't really talk about comic books. Like he doesn't write comics anymore. He's not really writing any fiction stuff. So we still talk, but it's rarely discussing that kind of thing. So that's the reason why I haven't had him on the stream. Usually when I have people on the stream, whether they're artists or writers, it's somehow usually comic or creative work adjacent.
Okay.
So it's not to say I would never have him on, but I think it might be a little bit too navel-gazy if I've just got my old friends on just sitting up here and just shooting the shit, and we're just talking about good old days. Well, see, with you and I, the good old days involve drawing.
Oh.
So that's why it makes sense. And for Josh, the good old days. For those who don't know, Josh Trosh is a good friend of mine who I don't think I've talked about him on live stream before, but he was my writing partner. So the comics that I first were doing when I joined that studio where I met Dan, I was the artist, he was the writer. We were a creative team. So he's a friend of mine I've known since middle school, and we're still friends today. But yeah, so he isn't necessarily involved with the creative aspect of comics anymore. But that's the relation there for those who were like, who is this and why are they talking about him? That's the thing. I try to keep it somehow art related, process related, keep them about the details. And speaking of process, what always a famous question for any artist, what tool are you using to draw with right now?
Right now, I'm using a Furonosuke. It's a Tombow pen.
Mm-hmm.
It's a black water-based pigment ink hard tip pen.
Oh.
It kind of allows me to do like brush technique type work with it.
Mm-hmm.
I can control the flow a little bit. There's another pen that I really love, but they're really hard to get. Unless there was an order on Amazon or something like that. It seems like the only places I've been to that have them is like, what's that place?
Jet pens?
No, not jet pens. They're the
Jet pens is everything, man.
Yeah, I've never been there. I don't even know what that is. Is that a store?
It's an online store.
Oh, I've never been there. Never gone in there. I mainly go to Blick Art Materials.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Which is where I got this pen, which made me very sad because they were all out of this pen last time I was in there, and I was like, oh man, I better not run through these very quickly, otherwise I'm gonna be in trouble.
I mean, that was one of the things that I really enjoyed about moving to inking with a brush, is that I just got to worry about buying a new bottle of ink. And I found, after trying a few different bottles, I've been used to Black Magic for years, but I found that Speedball Super Black is my jam.
You know what? John loves that same brand.
Well, I mean, I know
another artist friend of ours.
Yeah. Well, that
DC inker.
Good to know. But I was gonna say is, I know that some artists like to formulate their own ink, or they'll like mix one of one brand, a little bit of Pelican, a little bit of this, and then they leave it out for 2 days, let it thicken to the right consistency, then cap it. And it's very alchemical. But for me, I found that Speedball gives me the best of what I like right out of the bottle. So it's just a matter of I take the bottle that I'm using and I shake it up real good. I pour a little bit of that into a separate ink well that I keep on the side, like not an ink well, but a bottle with a cap. And that's what I generally use when I'm inking, is I add from the smaller bottle as opposed to the big bottle. So question in the chat. Joseph again, he's asking, when you draw traditionally, after which point do you scan your work? After penciling, after inking, or when it's completely done?
I try to do all.
Mm-hmm.
And at the very least, after I finish the line art, before I go into gray wash, like with Copics and stuff. Just because, like you said, like there's always that thought in my head, like, oh, I'm thinking I know what I'm doing, and then like I'm gonna have some disastrous mistake that I can't come back from, in choices that I make doing the work. And I don't know, I worry about it, so I still do it out of habit. But like I would say, it's rare that I ever get to go to the Copic phase, and whatever I get out of that tends to be like, it elevates everything no matter what. Like no matter how bad it could have been, it'll still be better than whatever the line art was. So the
Copic is really your finishing tool. That's what you use.
That is definitely my finishing tool lately. Yeah. I don't know. I just love the dimension that I get with it.
Yeah, I've never really used Copics. for the
I'm
most.
telling you, there's some pieces that I was like, oh God, this is just bad. Like, this is not good at all. And then I go in with the Copics, and somehow like it elevates it to a B+ piece for me. And I'm just like, I don't know how I pulled that out. Like, it's just kind of crazy.
I think usually when I'm trying to do stuff, I will just use a gray wash. I'll just use an ink wash. It's, in fact, I've got like a gang of not brush. Well, they're brush pens, but they're the water brushes that you use for watercolor. And I have some that are filled with ink washes. And then just recently, I bought one. I filled it with one with blue fountain pen ink, and then one with brown fountain pen ink, because fountain pen ink doesn't clog them up. If you were to put like India ink in these things, it would ruin them.
Wow.
But with fountain pen ink, I can just, I mean, it's, again, that's not waterproof. That's the downside. It's using material that's not waterproof. But
right.
But yeah. Now, have you ever experimented, and I'm asking because this is more of my process, have you ever experimented with scanning your pencils and then printing them blue line to ink?
I did that years ago, like back in the 90s. It's a good process, but I mean, I don't know, like it was like a lot, because I'd have to like scan it in, and then like, because for me, I like the aspect of the speed of it, like being in the moment with whatever it is and just getting it done. So the process of scanning it, then cleaning it up, and then taking it over to Kinko's or wherever to have it printed out was always like a lot. Like, I could do that, like if like some indie publisher was like, hey, we want, you know, somebody to ink this, or like you were trying to look as professional as possible, I could do it that way. But that was the only other time I did that.
By the way, I really like how the pinstriping, that you're using it not just in a decorative sense, but that's really helping to describe the form. It's something that when I'm talking to other artists about like contour lines and cross contour lines, that much like the same way that the way the muscles turn at a joint, that using clothing, you can use it to help describe the direction of the an object is turning. You can use it to describe, you're describing volume with the way that the material is bunching up at the shoulder, and
right.
You know, it's going around that area and showing you, yes, that's a volume there. It's not just, the sleeve isn't just going straight in there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it makes it less flat, that's for sure.
Well, I mean, is that something that do you feel like that was something that you always had that approach, or do you feel like that was something you had to learn over time in terms of
I think it was learned at some point, but I don't think it was something that I did for like, I like did a different way for 5 years and then all of a sudden started doing it. I think it was a situation like I started doing pattern work like that, and then like at some point I went, oh, maybe I should just like pretty early on, I think I went like, to make this look more dynamic how I want it to look, maybe it should follow the contour like a normal suit coat would, and then I just started doing it that way because that's the way it looks. I mean, I have done it quick and dirty before on stuff where it's like, here's a fast panel of people having a conversation that's not like, but this would be like a cover piece, so I want to make sure that little stuff like that was represented, because it's going to add to the overall aesthetic of the look that I'm going for with this particular piece.
Now, did you ever? Well, you know, I see another question. As long as we're talking about that and talking about material, I see Joseph's got another question. He said he was asking for advice on how to deal with wrinkles and shading said wrinkles on black clothes. Now, mind you, because your work is an open line, in theory, if this were going to be in a comic, you could do it in any color. Like, you could just drop a if this were a color page, and he was wearing a black suit, would you still put that level of detail in there, but you would just drop a really dark gray in there instead of black?
Yes, I think if I knew it was going to be a black suit, I might go to the effort of doing a couple distinguishing lines just in general. But I think I might not put as many descriptive lines in. No, I think if I was doing it black, I would just do it all black, and then I would go in with. I used to go in with a gel pen, but my homies at the Blick turned me on to the Signo Uniball brand. And this white pen, holy cow, I love this pen. And the guy's like, if you really like this pen, he's like, which I think you're going to, he's like, buy 2 more, you'll thank me, because we get these in, and 2 weeks later they're all gone. And so I bought 3 of these. So I have one in my travel bag, one here in the art room, and then I have one in my clipboard, which is kind of like my carry around. So
you know what? I like the fact
those work really good.
See, I like the fact that you have multiple sets of art tools, because I'm that same way, in that I have my tools at my drawing table. I have tools specifically in my bag for whenever I'm going to or from someplace. And then I don't necessarily have the same pencil and inking tools in my car, but I keep a set of charcoal pencils and kneaded erasers and figure drawing tools. I keep those in my car for figure drawing class. That way I never have to go, like if I were going to a figure drawing class, which, you know, no one's going anywhere during quarantine, but if I were going to a class, I wouldn't have to remember, I wouldn't have to be like, oh crap, I got to class and I forgot all my art supplies. They would just always be in my car, and I can leave them in my car. And if I come in and I'm doing studies at my desk, or if we're doing studies, like if I were at work, in the office and doing studies, that stuff I could take, wherever I'm at, or I have my stuff at home. But the idea of having multiple sets of work just so that I could do whatever I'm doing whenever I'm doing it.
I hate packing, so I try and make sure I have a set of something always ready, so I don't have to go like, okay, so I need to make sure I got one of this or one of that or whatever. Like, it's always best to have a set kind of sort of ready, I guess.
It's funny. It reminds me, I went to an art workshop one time, and I heard a speaker, this woman named Jasmine Beckett Griffith, and she, I think she has a second home in Europe, and she has her studio set up. Like, she basically has a duplicate studio set up. So she's got her home in the States, and then she's got her place over there. Whenever she's over there, she may bring whatever pieces she's working on. But other than that, her setup is like duplicate art table, duplicate tools, and you just sit down and work and go. So there's never any, all right, did I forget this? Did I forget that? Where are these things?
Yeah.
I think it's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. That is the way to live.
So you were thinking in terms of, and that idea of drawing in black. So if you were doing a whole black suit, would you just do the whole thing like a black silhouette? And then
I would probably do it all black, and then I would I might like if I have this like point in this leg, I might leave like a smile of a sliver there to like know that, to kind of delineate where the fold would be a little bit. But a lot of that stuff I would go in later with the white gel pen and just kind of go crazy with. I mean, so I kind of did that with these ninjas.
That's a bad idea, by the way.
Even this could be broken up. Yeah, this is a bonus page. I don't even know if I'm gonna use it. It was kind of a throwaway page, which I have a funny story to tell you about that. But like, I kind of go in here and sometimes I'll leave little slices or notches to distinguish the shape, and then later I might come in with the white pen and then go and make this outline. Kind of like on the face, how it has this outline to distinguish. It just depends on what it needs. And sometimes by no means is my stuff perfect. Like, there's whiteout on a lot of stuff, but yeah, the funny thing about that book, that ninja piece, I had an interesting yet scary event happen recently, which was I was wanting to do this monster book that I came up with as my first.
I thought you finished the kaiju book. Is that different?
Oh yeah, I have the kaiju book. I have like 3 issues of that just sitting somewhere, and I've only published the 1 so far.
What? I mean,
dude,
you could just first off, you would need a computer, which I know you're working on that.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
You could just save them as PDFs, put them on Comixology, and then have people like buy them from Gumroad or PayHip, and just have people download the books. You don't even have to make a physical product.
That seems just like giving it away for free a little bit somehow. I don't know.
No, I'm saying you would sell them.
Mm.
I mean, the reason why I say PayHip is because Gumroad is what most people use to sell digital goods. Like within comics, that's probably the go-to that people use.
Right. There's a couple people I know that use that.
But the thing about it is that the annual fee, I think the annual fee is like $100 a year, which isn't much if you're selling work regularly. But I rarely sold anything on Gumroad, and PayHip is more kind of like PayPal, where they just take a percentage of each transaction, which if you're just starting out is better. And then once you build up enough of where you're selling stuff over regularly, then it might make sense. If you're doing volume business, then it might make sense to move over to something like Gumroad. But if you don't want to necessarily invest a lot in it, my point is if they're sitting there doing nothing and no one's seeing them, you can still be selling them for like $1 an issue, $2 an issue, just to have them online selling the digital good. I mean, I live it this way. I'm definitely a proponent of physical comics, but I also believe that people should read comics in whatever format they want. And for some people, some people read digital comics because they prefer the digital format. Some people read them because there's no comic shops close to them. Some people read digital comics just because they're more affordable than the physical comics. There's a wide variety of reasons why. But what I'm saying is physical comics require you to get them printed. You've got to pay out for that or find a print on it. There are some, like Kablam does have Indie Planet, so you could have people buy it through them, but that's raises the price even more versus you just getting a bundle, getting some printed and have them on stock, but then you have to worry about shipping them out. Whereas at least if you've got them digital, you can have some revenue coming in from that work. And if you end up stepping up and saying, all right, now I'm going to make physical editions, or here's that Kickstarter or that Indiegogo campaign I was thinking about doing. That's a way to at least have some cash coming in until you move to those next steps. And the nice thing is in the back of each issue of the comic, you can put ads for your mailing list, for your Instagram. That way you can get people like, hey, you put an ad in the back for your commissions and have people soliciting commissions from the fact that they read your comic digitally and like, oh, this guy does this. I think I like this comic. I want to see him draw Wonder Woman's boobs crushing somebody's skull.
My audience.
I was gonna say, I'm very surprised you haven't gotten that already. I'd be really surprised if you have not had some woman kill some character with her boobs.
I probably had that in my books before, but I have not had anybody commission any of that yet.
Well, okay, all right. Well, I find that stunning that no one has specifically requested that. That seems like a go-to with your brand of work.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I like the small wins because, I don't have an infrastructure set up where I'm just kicking back on a pile of money drawing comics. I'm still working the day job, and I'm lucky I've got a creative day job that I enjoy. But it's really just spending an hour here, an hour there doing art and creative work.
Well, this is like kind of become my therapeutic hobby a little bit because I, as you know, I do towing for AAA.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, this is literally how I relax my brain is like I tell goofy stories to myself with my drawings. So it's never been so much about like, oh, is anybody reading this? Because for the most part, a lot of it I've just been doing for myself.
Well, but, I definitely think that there are downsides to turning the thing that's your passion or your refuge into a business, because it can sap some of the love and the magic out of that. But that said, I think given how physically demanding your day job can be and how it can be dangerous, the fact that you draw so fast, like I feel like your potential to be able to make income from this and make like as much as you're making at your day job, it seems like it's way more feasible for you. Just in terms of how quickly you are and how quickly you can turn out a commit. Let me put it this way. You took a really long time turning over those commissions for the guy that paid half up front in 2015.
Which was purely by accident.
Yeah, purely by accident. But if you had how many commissions do you think you would need to have to say this can completely replace my income? How many commissions would you need to have per day?
Oh, per day?
Yeah.
Oh, I'd only need like one per day to replace my current income.
Well, then I mean, I feel like it's just a matter of like in every single time you post something, just say, just to remind people, contact me for commissions. Because I mean, obviously, people like not for safe work. There's a market for it. People like boobs. You draw them very well. It seems like there shouldn't be a problem with. Let me this way. I'm sure there's challenges. I'm not in your shoes, but I feel like you're so fast that it's just a matter of letting people know that you're always open for commissions, and if so, that you would be swimming in them.
Potentially.
Well,
the problem is sometimes I get commissions of content that I am like, no, thank you.
Well, I mean, you're allowed to turn stuff down. I mean, it's not like you have to take them on. But I mean, for you, our commissions, I know that this is also a refuge for you, but does it ever get like feast or famine? Like, I mean, this way, is it do you usually have a steady stream of commissions, or is it like if you don't let people know?
Oh no, it gets famine for sure. Like probably after I finish these commissions up for this guy, there's one other guy that's been sitting too, and I got to finish his. And I have this one other friend of mine that might want me to draw a comic for him that I've been doing sketch cards for. But I don't know how soon until he's gonna turn on that idea. Yeah, I might not see any work for a while, at least commission wise, which is fine because like I said, I got like 2 or 3 comics that I'm working on right now. I have this one, which I don't know if I'm ever going to finish this one. This one's literally just an outlet. Although my buddy's like, he's like, I will just pay you to put that out. Just put that book out.
Why would you not take it? Someone who says they will pay you to put it out, why would you not take them up on that?
Well, the problem is because it's almost like a fever dream story. It doesn't really have any overall meat to it as far as the story goes. I've been trying to like write something like that for it, and it's going, but it's going slow. And it's more or less a lot of it is just stuff that I do as like I go, oh, visually this might be cool, and I'll draw like a panel's worth of something, and then I might end up with like 6 or 7 panels that go together to make a section of a story, or I'll be watching an old, detective noir, and I'll be like, oh, wouldn't it be funny if I did the scenario this way with the characters, and that's what a lot of this is. So this one doesn't work as well like that, to just be like, this is gonna be the story, it's gonna be done in X amount of days, and it'll be set to go. Like it's literally something that's like still evolving, whatever it is. I mean, I do tell him like, yeah, eventually maybe I'll do it. Also, it has a lot of X-rated material in it, although I did come up with a sort of a pseudo workaround, which I don't know if you remember me telling you about it, but the idea is I was going to have an animated sort of Ratatouille rat that looks from one angle looks like like a penis erection, and from another angle, he would look like a pair of boobs, like laying on a table, the way I drew the rat. And I could have a separate storyline going with the rat that I could overlay all over all the extremely X-rated shots. So it'd be like the rat would be like, oh, there's a piece of popcorn here. This popcorn's good, blah, 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 blah. And he'd be eating the popcorn. Meanwhile, there's some crazy sexual stuff going on in the background that he's obscuring. And that could be like this animated rat edition of the book.
You did not mention that. That is so weird. I would almost rather just see black bars or things blurred out than just a weird, like, penis-shaped rat running across genitalia to block the
eating garbage and...
That's very strange. That's very, very strange. And that's coming from me.
So what you're saying is I should totally do that then?
Yes, go for it. I mean, honestly, I think back, like, because I've got a pretty good stack of heavy metal magazines from the 90s. I got my folks to give me a subscription. They never looked at it, didn't know what I was getting. But, I mean, the thing about it is that while there was nudity and there was sex in it, I think they did a really good job of not...
This is like... this is like Tim Visual, like Bill Willingham sex. Like...
Well, my point being is that a lot of the artwork in heavy metal in like the 90s, you know, they were republishing stuff from European BD, you know, French and European comics that were uncensored, and you know, it was full on sex, penetration, but they did a very good job in heavy metal of cutting the panel or cropping it just so that you don't necessarily see the explicit parts. I mean, it seems like your audience would want the explicit parts. And that comes also back to crowdfunding, that you could have a version that's well,
that's the thing. And I was going to do Kickstarter initially with stuff like this, but then that ran into the problem of, like, I would see some people were getting away with it on Kickstarter, and then other people would be like, oh, this is just pervasive. We won't let you put this on here. So then people couldn't get past the censors, you know?
Well, it's worth reaching out to some of the creators you saw that were doing it and find out.
I did reach out to one dude, and he's doing some extreme stuff, and he kind of cued me into a printer he had and a bunch of other stuff, but I think that printer now is not printing anything like this now because they were Brian Polito's printer, and they just kicked doing work with him, and he's not even really doing like X-rated stuff. I mean, he did some topless stuff, but like I was like, oh, well, if they're not even printing Brian stuff now, like I don't know what the hell.
Well, maybe it's all digital goods. Oh, I see some comments. I lost track of what we're chatting. I see Joseph says in the chat, says, regarding my planned graphic novel, I think it's a really good story. I always wanted to make my own comic book. I already have finished the outline. It needs reworking though. You goes through the description of the comic. Says the Cavalier. I don't know if I should read the description of your book because that's your intellectual property there. But it's a historical Knight Templars thing. Sounds like a pretty cool concept. It says, I'm really passionate about it and don't care if no one reads it. Well, what advice would you give for somebody who has a story that they're really passionate about and want to share and they don't care if people read it?
Do it.
Do it?
Because that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Like,
well, see, that's the thing.
Like, put it this way. You do it for yourself and show it to a couple people, and, you know, if it seems like it has traction and you want to put some more money into it, then, you know, print up a book and do something with it. I mean, that's what I did with the giant monster book that I did, the fantasy goblin book that I did. You know, at the end of the day, like I said, a lot of this stuff is just you're doing it because it entertains you, and if it entertains you, then maybe it'll entertain someone else, you know?
That's true. That's true.
I mean, that's how I've always done it, at least. So I think if you're interested in it, you know, do it for yourself, and then and most likely you'll know. But like when you're doing it for yourself, like if it's good enough, you know what I mean? Like I feel like sometimes you know, like at least most people know. Like they'll be like, okay, this isn't working, or this is working, and you can tell that as you're going along, I find.
you get that feedback. Like, well, I mean, honestly, that's one of the good things about. I know
like somebody's like, "Oh, this is good," and they're like, "Where's the rest of it?" You know?
Yeah, that's a good. Well, like your friend who said, "Just publish this. I want to see it out in the world."
Yeah.
So you've already gotten the positive feedback.
I know there's some people that like it, but is there like, I don't know. Like, I'm not worried about putting it out and seeing what happens. Like I said, I say I should do it. But like I was saying, like with this specific thing, it was kind of like, well, I gotta find a place that's willing to print this material. You know, like that's at the end of the day with doing a lot of this stuff, that's the biggest hurdle. But the other stuff is pretty easy because it's pretty mainstream sort of story stuff, you know, ninjas. I mean, there's some boob stuff in it, but it's not X-rated or nudity or anything, you know. So it's stuff you could get away with. So I was working on this monster thing, which I want to do, which is like the main book. And as I was working on it, I was realizing that I knew it was good and it was working when the storyline started taking a life of its own, and I would be like, I wrote 3 pages, intro pages. They were good, but then I was like, nah, this monster's not right. It's not scary enough. So I redrew this whole page that I already finished, and I came up with this other monster that looks way creepier and more what I had in my mind of what I was thinking. And then I kind of went and started drawing the rest of it. And I got to this point where I was introducing kind of the lead character, and I was thinking, well, this book probably should start off with them, I'm thinking. So then I went back and I added 3 intro pages to the book of the monster character, of the main guy. And then at that point, I went and re-examined the whole history of the book about, you know, kind of like where the monsters come from, like what is it I'm trying to do. And then I started kind of examining the landscape of what's out there as far as like, what is everybody else doing, you know? And then when it looked like
that page, by the way,
what?
I was wondering if you were scanning.
No. I was gonna pop up some other stuff I could show you. So I was like, this was kind of like the original sort of opening couple of pages of that book. I mean, this one's still in there. I'm still keeping this one, but now it's actually like page 15 because I had those 3 pages and then I went, oh, but it would be great now that I have more of like the world in mind of how stuff works. I want to bring these other characters in here. So then I did this thing where I was overlaying 2 different time periods with the initial 3 pages. So that went to 6 pages. And then I went, oh, I've got this great idea for another sequence. So then those 3 pages got pushed out even further, those original 3, because I had to have this whole motorcycle action sequence that was 12 pages long. It was in this one section. It's all silent. There's no dialogue in it. And
all the better.
Yeah, I know. I was like, oh. So at this point, I'm going, this thing is taking on a life of its own. There's no way I'm going to kickstart this because I don't know how long until I'm going to have something worthy of this. And I kind of went, well, I should go back to something that's more ready to go. And so I knew I had that ninja thing that I was sitting on that was like, I don't know, like 80 pages, like it's like 4 books worth of stuff or something like that's done. And I was like, oh, but I need to tone the pages and stuff, like do the gray tone work on it, you know, because I didn't know if I was going to be able to afford to hire a colorist or if I could even get a colorist to work on it. And I was like, my colorist myself, I just didn't know what I was going to do. So I was like thinking about it, and then I know at some point I started kind of, I thought I took it with me to work to kind of work it over and think about what I was going to do with it. And then I kind of forgot about it, and I got back to doing other stuff.
You forgot about 80 pages worth of
content. Dude, it gets worse. This is where I say, like, I don't know if it's stress or it's my memory or what it is, but
yeah, your girlfriend should be mocking you. I hear her back there.
Yes, she's laughing in the background because she knows where the story's going that you don't know yet, which is I remember thinking I was like, oh yeah, when I was working the monster book, I was like, I should do something also that I love, but it's not something that, like, if I put it out there and it only makes, like, it makes very little money, and it's not something, because I know, like, I'm kind of starting from the beginning, and I'm not going to have an audience right away that, like, of 100 people, they're going to straight out come out and 100 people are going to kickstart my thing. I might be lucky if I get like 15 or 20 or something, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking I don't want to spend a year and a half on this other thing when I have something else that's kind of ready to go that I'm in love with, but so much time has gone on it, it'll be more or less like, oh, thank God I got it out now. It won't be a devastating if I'm using it as the sacrificial lamb to figure out how to do this thing properly, if that makes any sense. So I was like, well, I'll take this thing that's mostly done because it's ready to be my guinea pig. So, but I was like, but I still have to go back and tone those pages. And so I was like going back and I was looking through stuff and I was like, oh, what's this? I found at some point a magical mystical fairy went in and toned all the pages just like this. And I don't remember ever doing it. And I was looking at the pages like, oh God, this guy's good. Like how I would look at like Arthur Adams art back in the day and be like, oh wow, you know, like looking at this stuff, like how did that happen? And I was like, but I drew this. Like I was the guy that did this toning work, but I couldn't remember for the life of me ever doing it. I still can't remember doing it. Now, I don't know if that says I was going through some sort of stressful time and I blocked out a whole period of about 60 pages worth of Copic marker, like gray toning work or what. But it was done, so I wasn't going to, you know, look a gift horse in the mouth, but.
Well, I mean, but I've never run a crowdfunding campaign.
Yeah.
But from what I hear from people who have done successfully, that when you're starting out, it's better to do small campaigns and get those small wins and build up that audience. Right. Could you conceivably take this 80-page ninja story and take like the first 20 pages of it, find somewhere in there a good break point at page 20, 25, break it into like 3 issues, 4 issues.
Right. Well, that's my plan sort of right now, rudimentarily, is that I have this thing mostly done. I'll put it up as like a normal size sort of thing and be like, oh, if we can get to this, I can add 15 more pages. You know what I mean? And the pages are already ready to go. So that won't be an issue. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking, because it's kind of, so I'm saying it's the kind of the perfect guinea pig thing that's just been sitting around that I haven't been doing anything with. So I'm kind of excited to see what comes of that.
Well, you know what? Hey, I see a couple more comments in the chat. I see my buddy Brendan, a pal of mine from figure drawing classes. Yo, what's going on? It's good to. I'm glad you're able to stop by and check it out. I hope you're enjoying this and it's not too navel gazing for you, because I'm going on and on. We get to look at Dan's beautiful artwork and hear him talk about his process and his memory of missing nightmare pages, which to me, I mean, that sounds like entering a fugue state.
Well, that's what I'm saying, like, man. It's almost like early onset Alzheimer's or something. I don't know.
Well, I'm thinking
it scared me really badly when it happened. I was like, whoa. I'm like, I don't remember this at all. And I know I did it because I recognize my technique of like how I do it. But like there was some stuff that's like pieces that when I finish them, I normally go, wow, that's really good. Like, wish I could remember how to do that. But there was like a lot of stuff that I'm like, I don't remember doing that at all. Like, crazy talk.
That is nuts. I also see Joseph says, from what I can see, you can self-publish on Amazon with zero money. When someone orders your comic, Amazon prints it and ships it, and that is actually how my Morningstar graphic novel and my first graphic novel, Eye of the Gods, are set up. That's why I actually send people to Amazon, to amazon.jeremy.net. I send them to that because if people order directly from my website, I have to go dig into my books, grab them out, pack them, put them up, and ship them. Whereas if people go for the Amazon thing and order it, Amazon takes care of all that for me. So I don't make as much money, but I also don't have to do the actual the shipping and handling part, which is kind of nice to be able to farm that off. I am not sure what Amazon's policy is on printing adult material. I'm certainly certain they don't have a problem with nudity because there's nudity in my comics and they print that. It's just a matter of whether there's explicit sex or not. But if it's just nudity, hell, you could probably even do that with Amazon. Right. I'm going to throw something out there, and if anyone in the chat has some experience with crowdfunding or friends who have run successful crowdfunding campaigns, let me know what they think of this. I would suggest, and I'm not saying this is the right way to go, but if your big concern is people not backing your crowdfunding campaign for either the first issue of this project or the eventual collected edition, the possibility, there's the idea you could run, I don't know, whatever the issue is going to be, the 20 pages, you could run that as a webcomic. And on the webcomic, you start a sign-up list for the Kickstarter. You just tell people, I'm going to run a Kickstarter for this. Sign up now so that I can let you know about it. And you say maybe you've got some bonus editions. Just you'll have a newsletter. You can throw in some sketches and some behind the scene process stuff. Just whatever it is, something you can just email people once a month and just say, hey, here's how it's coming. But you can start building up that contact list, that interest list, that let people know what's going to launch. You can start telling people, hey, I'm going to have an early bird tier where the first, 20 people that back it get, hand embellished copies of it. So like maybe you go on there and you'll maybe they get a version.
I can do some of these $50 sketches, right?
Yeah. You can make some sort of, that's completely, or book, you can even do book plates. You just got stickers, you do the commissions on there, they can stick it right in. Whatever it is, you can create an early bird tier where maybe either
be like, this is what my remarks look like.
Yeah. Either they get a remark or they get the book there's a specific tier that gets it at a discounted price, whatever it is. But the point is you can start just by running, not even the whole series, but just the first 20 pages. There's a really good webcomic. Well, it's not a webcomic, but it's a comic called Crescent City Monsters. And it's kind of like a black John Constantine in New Orleans. I shouldn't say John Constantine, because, well, he's a guy who performs magic, but he's also a musician, so it's got kind of a Robert Johnson, Creole, Deep South feel. And I backed their Kickstarter campaign because I saw the book, and it just, the guy who draws it is this amazing artist. The story is really, really cool. I really dug it. And when I first found out about it, I saw it as a webcomic. And I didn't realize they were planning to do a Kickstarter campaign. But when they launched it, I was like, well, of course, that makes complete sense. And I don't think that they did the webcomic for the following issues. I think that they ran a really successful campaign for that first issue. And after they ran that, then they proceeded to distribute the following issues just through Kickstarter. I mean, is that something that you'd be even remotely interested in? Is using a webcomic as a way to drum up interest?
Yes and no. Like, I don't like. I like the idea of it, but like for me to like actually do something on a weekly basis like that is like, that's a lot of extra that I'm already like. I've got a lot of other stuff going on. That's my only problem. Like, I like the crowdfunder thing because I can kind of do that, and then I don't know. It doesn't involve me creating more stuff every week. It seems like, I don't know, but maybe I could just create it all and then have it ready to go and then just piecemeal it out. I don't know.
Well, that's exactly what you can do. Is you can schedule the posts. So if you've got 20 pages, you can just say, I'm going to post a page a week or 2 page a week. You say a page a week for 20 weeks or or 2 pages a week for 10 weeks, however you want to do it, you can just schedule the posts and it just runs out. And the whole time with every post, you've got a thing underneath there, say, sign up here to get notified when the Kickstarter launches, and just turn up interest.
Right.
I feel like there's a lot of people both on YouTube and in the podcast space that can speak a lot more eloquently about Kickstarter campaigns, having run them successfully, and what does and doesn't work for drumming up interest on your first Kickstarter. And I know when last time we spoke, I mentioned the Tyler James Comic Launch podcast, and that's one I think that's a really good resource to check out. But yeah, it's a big part of it. I think I mentioned this to you when we talked, is that I'd heard one of the things I'd heard Tyler James say more than once is that there's no crowdfunding without the crowd. Right. Meaning that no matter what, it doesn't matter whether you're just selling a comic, whether you're just selling the finished book, whether you're doing a Kickstarter campaign, whatever it is, you have to build up that audience. So that process of getting the word out about your work is the real. That's the real thing. Is building that audience before you do anything. And again, just the fact of you like you us sitting here, the way you've got your camera turned so that you can actually show us your pages, and the idea of showing pages while you're working on it, you could just start going on Instagram Live once a week. And if you put like a newsletter or an interest list for sign up for people to follow your work, you could just do that once a week and not answer any questions, not talk to anybody, just draw once a week and share that, and you would build up an audience of people over time. And that's actually
should start doing that a little bit more.
Yeah, I feel like that's the biggest thing that social media is great for. I feel like it's sharing the process work. And some people don't like sharing process work. They like shared art, like sharing finished, completed pieces. I personally, I'm a process junkie. I love looking at people's sketches and thumbnails and how they make stuff. And I can sit there and watch somebody just sit and draw. I know you
weird. I like the early stuff better than most people's finished stuff, which is probably crazy.
Here's something I was going to mention. You said that you found Twitch a little bit weird, just that it was all gaming, and you didn't really know, where your stuff would fit in. Eric Canetti I don't think he streams regularly, but I think he's trying to get back into it. But Eric Canetti live streams on Twitch, and he's the guy whose artwork I love, and I'll go on there when he's on there. Just he may not be talking, he'll just be sitting there working on pieces, and he's somebody who you'll watch him draw. This stuff's awesome. You'll watch that shit.
Right.
So what I'm saying is you're back. You're back. You've got all of these tools here that you can do to share work and get the word out about your work. And, we're at like 90 minutes here, so I guess we should probably wrap up. Before we do, I was going to ask you, can you introduce my audience to Squish? Because Squish pops up in every once in a while on my live stream chat just to say hello. So Squish is a little friend who has a social media presence of his own.
Let's see here. Hold on. I have his assistant is going to go get him.
He's in his cubby, his hidey hole.
He's in his cave. He's watching old movies. He's watching the American Ninja trilogy.
American Ninja trilogy. Oh, like American Ninja
trilogy, I should say.
Huh?
Or the quad trilogy. Really, there's like
I thought there were 4 of them.
There's 5 altogether, but I've never watched the 5th one.
I didn't even know there was a 5th one. To be honest, I think I've only seen 1 through 3, and I can tell you the only one I really remember is the first one.
Does it? Oh, it's here.
Yeah, I also brought one of
Okay. I don't know. He does not need this clip part.
I also see Brandon in the chat says that Twitch has a bunch of artists on there. That's true. I know Carl Kerschel is another comic creator who's on there. But there's a lot of fancy artists, sci-fi artists, not just comic creators. A bunch of people on. Squish!
What?
Squish, how you been? I haven't seen you in a long time, buddy.
Oh, Jeremy! How you doing, buddy?
Good, good. Are you still posting videos on your channel?
Really bright in here. Yeah. I've been slowing down because of the COVID. You know, we're supposed to be, staying in place. So I haven't really been getting out very much.
You just stay in your cave, just kind of nice and hidden, your quarantine cave?
That's right. Nice and safe in there. Got lots of snacks, drinks, lots of comic books.
Yeah. Any comics you've read lately that you really enjoy?
My friend Christy Shin's Demon Bitch. Those comics are pretty good.
I'm gonna have to check that out just for the name. Demon Bitch.
She got me some tarot cards. I got her tarot card set. Yeah.
That's a badass name for a comic.
Yeah. It's awesome. Lots of booze, drugs.
Now, I've been bad at keeping up with your channel. What was the most recent video you posted? What was it about?
It might have been when I brought my friend Enrique, who runs a comic shop, some supplies to hold him over. They may have been past due by I don't know, 2005 canned goods, stuff like that.
Well, 2005 canned goods, 2015 commissions. Oh, wow.
They drank one of my urine samples.
No, that's so gross.
Yeah. He thought it was good.
You're a dirty bird, Squish. You're a dirty bird.
I accidentally got in the box. I didn't even know it was in there. Don't tell him. He never needs to know.
Don't worry. It's just you, me, the internet, and 10 people watching right now.
Oh, okay.
That's all.
Hi, 10 people.
All right, Squish. Well, I just wanted to catch up, say hi. So when you do videos, just to let people know, it's reviews of movies, reviews of comic books, pop culture stuff, monsters.
General bad behavior.
And general bad behavior.
Yes.
All right, Squish. Well, thank you so much. Stay safe.
What? I'm going out of here. I gotta go. They're making me leave.
All right, Squish. Bye.
Squish on out. I'll tell the wait stuff.
That guy, he's trouble, man.
Unreliable, that guy. See, he can't even keep up with doing regular posts.
Well, I mean, you know what?
Quarantine's tough.
He's got to stay hydrated. It's hard for him to get out from his cave, like you said.
It's true.
The mask has to have a breathing apparatus. The whole thing.
He doesn't travel too far from liquids.
Yeah, that's a smart move. Stay hydrated. So, anyway, if someone wanted to get a badass $100 commission from you, they should go to Boob Dan Art on Instagram, and that link.
Yeah, I think there's a Facebook page too.
There's a Facebook page too.
Yeah. But either one of those, just send me a message, I guess.
Oh, I see a couple more in the chat. I see Chris Jones says American Ninja 1 is awesome. And John Ursick from Coffee and Comics is in here. He says, I haven't seen American Ninja since 1988.
Well, they should get my crowdfunder when it comes out, because it's nothing but American Ninja stuff.
American Ninja, but it's top-heavy American Ninja.
Yeah. The Asian American Ninja.
All right. Well, is there anything else, any last words before I sign off on here from the live stream that you want to let anybody know or anything else?
Not really. When are we going to talk again?
We will make it. It definitely won't be that long. I need to hit
do
a
this
Vince
again.
first.
We got
You know
10
what?
people in here.
I'll tell you this. John
We're celebrity status.
It might get nuts. And I'm not sure what the maximum number of people I can have with the free StreamYard account, but maybe we'll do a
You can have 10.
All right, well, maybe we'll do a coffee and comics live stream, and I'll just round all the guys up, and it'll be nuts because I can imagine with all of us out there, we already talk over each other too much when we're in person. It'll be crazy on the live.
Doing that anyway because we can't. Well, I mean, I guess we could assemble and be coffee and comics, but.
Avengers Assemble. Well, it won't be like the official Coffee and Comics. For that one, maybe we have to do it on we could do it on the Facebook group for them and do a group live hangout. But maybe we could see about we've talked before about getting a bunch of people together to just hang out and BS. So I promise you, it'll be. I still
think we should do a regular Sticky Inks talk show. You and I.
See, okay, all right. Sticky Inks. We'll make the Sticky Inks. That's what we'll call it. Sticky Inks cast with Dan Plegel.
Oh, so, yeah, Sticky Inks.
Check out, first off, check out Dan's Instagram. Follow him on there. And when Dan sets up his newsletter so people can get a hold of him for his crowdfunder, sign up for that newsletter.
As soon as I get this laptop hooked up.
When he gets that laptop hooked up, sign up for his newsletter so you'll know when his Kickstarter launches. All right, guys. Everybody,
I don't know which it's going to be yet, but it might be Kickstarter.
Indeed, whichever. His crowdfunding campaign. All right, guys. Everyone watching, thank you so much. Again, real quick, let me toss the. This has been. I just realized. No, I realized I forgot to mention my Patreon. Patreon.com/GERIMI if you want to support this hot mess.
Oh, yeah. Support Jeremy's hot mess right now. Go to the Patreon and Jeremy.
Newsletter
at Jeremy.net.
Jeremy.net.
If you really want to get down with Jeremy, head on over to Amazon, Jeremy.net, to get you some books, baby.
Yes. That's it. Again, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for coming on, Dan. Everybody else, that's it for now. Go be creative.